next topic which we are going to discuss is about meaning of group behavior. Now, see the meaning first. What is group behavior? Means how the members are interacting in a group. It is a social process through which members relate and respond to each other and perform their respective roles. It is spontaneous. Spontaneous means which happens suddenly, which occurs suddenly, especially in formal groups. How do we normally behave in the groups? Just imagine, like if you are in a formal group, how do we interact, and in an informal group, how do we interact? Informal group, as we have seen, is much more of a friendly type of nature. And group behavior is having both positive as well as negative impact or consequences on the organization. Now here you can see there are two dimensions, intra-group and inter-group. Intra-group means within the group. Like if there are 10 members in a group, all these 10 members, how they are interacting with each other. Behavior of members of a group towards each other. In that group, how they are interacting. Intergroup means behavior of group members towards the members of other group. Like there is group A and B. How group A members are behaving with group members of group B. That is intergroup. Intra means within the group. Inter means with other groups. So three elements have been mentioned given over here by George Homans, who is a social psychologist. Like there should be activities for human behavior to happen or group behavior to happen. Like activities can be how they are carrying out the task which has been assigned to them, how these members are performing their roles over here. That is in different activities. Same way interaction, how they're interacting with each other. Definitely group cannot function without this interaction. They need to talk with each other. They need to deal with each other. So this also can be observed. Same way there is sentiments, especially in informal groups and all, we can say that there is feelings, emotions and all which are connecting them in the group. Sometimes it may not be expressed directly or it may not be observed directly, but they can interfere sometimes and in the group decision making process, and sometimes it may even become a barrier to the group functioning. So activities are there, interactions are there, and sentiments also will be involved when we are dealing with the group behavior, because ultimately these are all individuals who are part of the group. Then comes how do we determine factors of group behavior, that is determinants of group behavior. It can be divided into external conditions and internal conditions. External will be like the strategy of the organization, whether it should be a long term, whether the group will be established for a long term or a short term, and whether we need to have what are the number of groups in the organization, formal groups, how many, and how to deal with these members. Same way authority structure. Authority in formal groups flow from, that is, we have already seen there will be superior and then there will be subordinates, and who will be given what authority, to what extent, whom the authority can be exercised, means who will be the superior, who will be the subordinates, like that. Then rules and regulations, definitely if it's a formal organization, formal structure, or a formal group, it will definitely have its own set of rules and regulations, and it's supposed to be followed by every members in the organization. So when these members are following consistently, then the group's behavior also will be predictable. Then resources include the physical, financial, human resources and all which are required for the functioning of the organization. And if there is scarce resources, like for example, one particular functional department is given less resources as compared to another one, this may result in intergroup conflict, and that will affect the functioning of the entire organization. Same way, rewards are also there. It determines the group performance, group behavior. There should be a sound reward system which is selecting the most appropriate groups itself. Like it would be better if there is group based reward and incentive system rather than individual based, because then it will lead to collaboration and cooperation, much more collaboration and cooperation among the team members, and even trust among the team members. Organizational culture, another one, which is definitely affecting the group behavior. Organizational culture refers to the set of values, attitudes, traditions, norms, beliefs, etc., which are shared by the members of an organization. And there are certain cultures which are very strong and which are very weak. Definitely strong cultures will be having better decision making capability and capacity. weak cultures will be on the other side, and they will have to be ready to accept the culture in the organization. Then only they can take the work ahead. Then physical work settings, like it basically refers to the infrastructure part of an organization, like how they are sitting, where they are resting, the arrangement of equipments, the layout of where they will be resting, those things. If these physical work settings are not proper, that may create a barrier for interaction, group interaction. Like you create a very large group in an organization and there are no facilities for them to even meet or even talk together. There are no proper chairs, no arrangements for them to even meet and talk together, and hardly the group will function. So these are the external. Same way, there are group member resources. That is within the group, their members should be quite knowledgeable, their skills and abilities are important. And in a group, it's very important to remember that the members will be having varied skills and knowledge. And it is important that these skills are all fully utilized for the completion of the task. Then, personality characteristics. Some members will be like highly intelligent, self-reliant. Some members will be like dominance, they will be more selfish. So it normally will be mix of several personalities, and all these people together contribute towards the group behavior. Then group structure. Normally for formal groups, there will be a formal leadership. Formal leader is like the one who normally is being made by the organization, who is a superior or a leader who is managing the subordinates and using any kind of leadership. Normally, if it is autocratic leadership style, then group members will have to follow the orders, instructions given by the leader. Same way, roles expected by the members. Roles means what are they supposed to do in the group. Here we have to see that there is something as role identity. What are they supposed to do over here? Certain attitudes, certain behaviors which are consistent with a particular role, with a particular position. This is actual role played by the members. Then there is role perception, means one's view of how one is supposed to act in a given situation. Group में ये होता ही है. Group members behave because in a certain way because they believe that they are supposed to behave in this particular way. Then role expectations, how others believe you are supposed to behave in a particular situation. Then role conflict, when there are conflicts or disagreements amongst the members in the organization with respect to their roles. Another thing which you have to remember over here is status congruence. Status means the position in the society. Normally, when we talk about status, we always have this viewpoint of people belonging to the high status, low status and all. Same in organization also this is there. It is a ranking given to people. Here we can say in a group. So status congruence happens when there is agreement among group members regarding the individual member. In case of full agreement, people are agreeing in all the terms, then the majority of the members will be going together towards the achievement of goals in the same way. But if there is disagreement on the status level, like who should be the leader, who would be the next person, if that such confusions and disagreements are there, then this will not go towards goal, but it may result in conflict. Group norms. Group norms are expected behaviors. Standards of expected behavior and performance of the members, they are normally established by the group members itself, that through common consent, common agreement. And so when it is established by common consent, it is automatically understood that the members are also supposed to follow it voluntarily. And if some members are not following it, some members are strictly following it unwantedly, it will create confusions and conflicts in the organization. So when you're part of a group, it is important that you're adhering to the norms also voluntarily. Group size also determines the group behavior. Like we have seen already, types of groups, there will be small groups or larger groups. Normally smaller groups, they will interact more. And they can communicate more frequently because the number of members are less. And smaller groups are better in task completion, but larger groups are better in decision making or problem solving in a better way, because you will get varied opinions over there. Group composition. Groups may be homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homogeneous means same type of people. Heterogeneous means different. Homogeneous group means people belonging to same background, same interest, same values, same beliefs. Because of this, there will be a harmonious relationship among the group members. वो sync हो जाता है. हम लोग को भी like you can understand, हम लोग अगर ग्रुप में काम करते हैं, हम लोग भी सबके साथ एकदम से जेल होने के लिए बहुत टाइम लगता है. अगर होमोजेनियस ग्रुप है, अगर हमारे ही सेम इंटरेस्ट है, सेम वैल्यूज ओपिनियंस रहता है थोड़ा बहुत, so it is easy to be part of that group and it is easy to interact with such people. Heterogeneous group is that where the members will be of different backgrounds, different ideas they will be having, different viewpoints they will be having. Then there is something known as group cohesiveness. Group cohesiveness means the ability to stay together in the group. It helps to develop team spirit. Cohesive groups means they are more productive than non-cohesive groups, because groups there can be differences of opinion. Still, if they are able to solve those differences of opinion and if they are able to take a decision together, if they are able to remain united, we can say that the group cohesiveness is strong over there, or there is group cohesiveness. Non-cohesive groups means which does not have a team spirit among the members and which may always like the members will be fighting with each other. There is no common agreement over there like that. Then there is group processes. Group behavior is also affected by the group processes. Like processes include the communication among the group members, decision making, power dynamics, conflict interaction, etc. How they are interacting with each other. Same way, group task. Task means the particular work which has been allotted to them. It could be simple or complex. It could be permanent task or a temporary task. Definitely, if the task is quite complex, we need to see that the members are interacting with each other. There is more and more discussions happening within the group members, and frequent and long the interactions also will be happening. On the other hand, if it is small, task is simple or small, or then in such cases we can see that minimum interaction only is required to complete the entire task. So this is about groups. This topic is very important. We have seen what is the meaning of group, types of groups. All these topics are very important. Next, we are going to discuss about power. Concept of power. Power is the ability to influence other people and events. It is the ability to change or control others' behavior even if they are against it, and in the face of resistance from them. We are able to control somebody's behavior or even change their behavior due to our ability, that is power. Here you can see very good definition given by Stephen Robbins. Power is the ability to influence and control anything that is of value to others. Power is earned and gained. And people who are powerful means it's considered that they will be having more influence. They can control people in a better way. So here you can see, let's see the meaning of power dynamics. Power dynamics means it deals with the nature and types of power and how it can influence the members in an organization. First is power distribution. In an organization, ऐसा कुछ power distribution तो नहीं होता है, but still you can observe that some people will be more powerful, some people will not be having much role, they will be less powerful. Powerful people always wants to gain an advantage over the other people. They may even resist every attempt to weaken them. वो लोग दूसरे लोगों को आगे बढ़ने भी नहीं देंगे. So there can even be coalition formed by such people. Coalition means group of people with similar interest. तो उन लोगों को भी ये लोग साथ में लेके जाके अपना पावर फर्म रखेंगे. First one. Then dependency. Dependency is another reason why power is there in an organization. If you are dependent on me, then I can exercise more power on you. See the example over here. If Rohan is depending on Rajesh for his work, then Rajesh can definitely influence Rohan. Greater the dependency of Rohan on Rajesh means the greater the power Rajesh is exercising over Rohan. So if you as a individual, if you want my support for any work, definitely I can show my power over there. So when you're dependent on anybody, they will tend to exercise power on you. Then uncertainty. When there is uncertainty also, like most of the times, organizations always want to avoid uncertainty. Hence, those who can overcome these issues, they are considered to be powerful. And when these people come forward to support the organizations, automatically other people also consider them as powerful. Then there's compliance, reward, coercive power, and all are like because of they are sitting in a position. When they're sitting in a position, it is like they will be meeting the expectations and then they will be powerful over here. Then power is effective when not visible. Like we can see some determinants over here. Low ranking group members with expert knowledge, they may even exert more power. Like here you can see low ranking group members with expert knowledge can exercise or exert more power over high ranking members who they don't have that knowledge. For example, in an office, the computer is not working of the manager, senior manager, and a technical person is called on. Abhi who is having more power? Technical person is having more power now over here. So even though they are ranking low over here, still since they are having this knowledge, they are now more powerful. The consequence of power, definitely more powerful people can persuade others, influence others, and bring the actions results in their direction. Then simple, certain things are there which are showing that that person is powerful. Maybe the dress they are wearing, the titles which they are holding, size of the office, location of the office, especially in the prime location, then luxurious cars, office furnishings, visiting abroad for tours, all this shows that the person is powerful. Reputation is also another power indicator. Reputation means respect, dignity. People having good reputation in organization are normally considered to be more powerful than others. It does not mean that they should be sitting in a higher position or anything like that. But if they are being respected by everyone in an organization, they are considered to be more powerful than others. Next, we are going to discuss about sources of power. As per Stephen Robbins in his book Organizational Behavior, which I had told earlier, also is one of the major or very important textbook, reference book we can say in this particular subject. According to him, there are two sources of power, major source of power, formal and personal power. Under formal, many subpoints are there, personal also many subpoints are. Formal power is like because of that person's individual position in the organization, क्योंकि वो that person is a part of the organization, उसकी वजह से वो जो power exercise करते हैं, known as legitimate power, first one, legally जो आते हैं, because that person is sitting in a higher position, वो powerful रहता है, और उसकी वजह से he is having power to control over the others. He can punish others, he can even reward others. For example, chief executive of a company, वो is having a legitimate power क्योंकि वो एक वैसे पोजीशन में बैठे है, एक ऊपर पोजीशन में बैठा है जिसकी वजह से उनको दूसरों के ऊपर पावर एक्सरसाइज कर सकते हैं. Legitimate power because the position. Then comes coercive power. Coercive power means it could be like due to using fear as a motivator. मतलब डरा के काम करवा के लेना, like ability to punish others or to pose as a threat to others, वैसे power दिखाना. Many times if the employees are threatened कि आपका सैलरी कटेगा, आपका ये कुछ चीजें विड्रॉ करेंगे, आपको सस्पेंड करेंगे, ये these are all examples of coercive power. Forcefully उनसे काम करवा के लेना. Coercive means using force. So this may have an impact in the short run but not in the long run. It will actually create a negative impact in the organization when the officials are using coercive power. Reward power is opposite of coercive power, when we are motivating the people to do the work and then give them rewards like additional facilities, increase in pay, maybe incentives, promotion, etc. So here it is a little more positive in nature, and it is actually helping to recognize the services of the subordinates through appreciating them. The information power. Information power means because they have access to certain information. क्योंकि इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में सब लोगों के पास न्यूज नहीं पहुंचता है, कुछ लोगों के पास न्यूज पहुंचता है, कुछ लोगों के पास नहीं पहुंचता है, कुछ चीजें ऐसे होती है कि जो सीक्रेटली रखना पड़ता है. मैनेजर्स में मैनेजर्स को कुछ कुछ चीजों के बारे में पता रहता है, जैसे कि सेल्स, कॉस्ट, प्रॉफिट एक्सेट्रा. सो दे कैन यूज दिस इंफॉर्मेशन एंड कंट्रोल और मॉडिफाई द अदर पीपल्स बिहेवियर. सेम वे एचआर डिपार्टमेंट को सबके पास सैलरी के बारे में अगर पता है, तो वो लोग एम्प्लॉयज के ऊपर वैसे पावर एक्सरसाइज कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि दे आर हैविंग कंट्रोल ओवर द इंफॉर्मेशन. Like here example दिया है. For instance, the HRD department may have vital information regarding personal matters which may be crucial regarding wage settlement negotiations, discussions. Then comes personal power. Personal power comes from an individual's unique characteristics. Following other sources of personal power, expert power, because it is known as the authority of knowledge, which comes from a specialized knowledge, and when that person is having this knowledge, वो knowledge की वजह से वो उनका power दिखाते हैं, जैसे कि doctors, chartered accountants, they are all having that power because they are having knowledge, they possess expert knowledge and skills which the other people don't have. A lawyer, we approach a lawyer because the lawyer is well versed in laws. When we need any legal support, we approach a lawyer because that person is more powerful. That is expert power. He is an expert in that particular field. Then comes referent power. Referent power means when somebody is trying to identify with another person. They want to identify with that person in the group. For instance, if A is admiring B and respecting B, then Mr. B can control over A. Same way, it is just like out of admiration. If I want a favor from someone or I want to admire someone, like that, we are desirous of becoming like that person. Celebrities का good example यहाँ पे. Advertisers take the help of celebrities to endorse their brand, क्योंकि they are all admired by people, and because of this they can exert power on the common people. That is referent power. Then there is charismatic power, because of their personality and style, how they are carrying themselves. The followers are admiring them because they are leaders. Even people try to imitate them, imitate their behavior, like Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, and all are such personalities and who are examples of charismatic power, who are having charismatic power. And they try to become a model for others. They take personal risk. They engage in behavior which others may consider unconventional. They have this extremely influencing qualities because of which they are having followers. So this is about types of power. Then there's another one type which we can call it as power of interdependence, because we need the support of others. It happens when you need the support of other person in the organization. And when you need the support, you will respect them and the other person will have power on you. Maybe you want to take the help of somebody to complete an assigned task which you are not able to complete it. And you may take the help of your colleague. Your colleague can exercise power on you. That is power of interdependence. So this is about power. Meaning of power, types of power or sources of power.